Greetings, my name is Dorothy Shane Pradas from grade 11 UMS Weber. This video serves as my application activity for Module 4, in which I will be doing a reaction video on the speaker's performance based on the videos that I have chosen, namely the speech of Dhananjaya Hariarachi and a certain spoken word poetry performance by Juan Miguel Severo. In this reaction video, I will be giving focus on analyzing and criticizing their speech delivery, specifically on the aspects of how they approach and connect to their audience, how they use their voice in order to deliver their message, as well as their stage presence. Another thing that I will consider and look into is how the contents of the speech meet up with the characteristics of a good speech. And lastly, I will be giving my own insights and overall opinion on the videos. Let's begin with Dhananjaya Hariarachi's speech entitled, I See Something. For my analysis and criticism on the said video, I will first comment at the speaker's approach and connection to his audience. His approach is somewhat formal, and his delivery of the speech is engaging to the audience, and I would say that he has most certainly caught their attention. Now you may ask, how can I say so? Well, looking at the audience responses on his humorous anecdotes and statements, it is certain that the audience are listening and are paying attention to what he is saying. I can say that he has delivered and relayed his message properly and clearly to the audience, given that you can hear the audience laugh to his humorous statements. He enforces a non-monotonous tone which will gain the audience attention and liven up the whole speech, and emphasize on the important parts that can relay the right message to the audience. He uses this to dive into the serious and fun parts of his speech, creating a better understanding to his points and statements. If ever the audience are not interested, they would show little to no response to your speech, even if you try to engage with them. With this, we can clearly see that it is important to establish a connection with your audience in order to let them feel comfortable around you, making it easier for you to engage with them. The speaker utilizes the stage very well. It is evident that the speaker is very knowledgeable of proxemics and has applied it to his speech delivery. We can see this in his eye contact, in which he really looks at the audience and that he does not take his attention off the audience unless if it is necessary. What I have observed about his body movements is that he is comfortable on the stage, therefore he can freely and easily move his body in order for him to deliver his speech without any constriction on his movements. We can see that he paces around as to reach out to the audience from left to right and looks at the audience from the front row to the back row in order to include everyone, and I also observed that he acts out some parts of his speech, which helps the audience visualize what he is saying. His acting shows various facial expressions depending on what seems appropriate on the given scenario. In regards to the content of his speech, I noticed that there is a quote he constantly used, which is, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. He used this in his speech in order to capture the audience attention. His speech ended with him saying the quote. Before that, he built up the anticipation as he returned from his humorous anecdotes, and then gradually switched his tone as he turned to a much more serious message. This part built up the anticipation of the audience to the last part, in which he uses in engagement with the audience in order to really capture their attention. He does this by addressing the audience directly, saying, Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at you, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. It ends with somewhat of a humorous statement in accordance to the context of his speech, leaving the audience with something to remember at the end of it. My overall insight on Dhananjaya Hariarachi's speech is that, I must say, he is well deserving of the title of being the world champion of public speaking. Public speaking is about the audience, the people who watch and listen to you. The speaker brilliantly used his knowledge and charisma in order to catch the attention of the audience. delivering a speech isn't just about the content or what is in your speech. It is about understanding and knowing your audience, as you are able to control and manipulate the message that will be received by the audience. With this, you can become a great public speaker. Moving on to the next video, I will be evaluating and reacting to the spoken poetry performance of Juan Miguel Severo entitled Ang Huling Tula na Isusulat Ko Para Sa'yo. I first focused on analyzing and criticizing his delivery of the spoken poetry. Regarding on how he approaches and connects with his audience, I would say that he approaches his audience in a formal manner similar to the first video. But this time, the audience are only listening and does not exactly have a chance to show their verbal response in regards to his spoken word poetry. This is understandable, as these spoken word poetry performances mostly focuses on the speaker and the poem. Even though there is no verbal response in this case, we can still see that the audience are really paying attention to his performance and that they are attentive on what he is saying. The speaker's eye contact, facial expressions, and voice has helped with his delivery. The speaker's eye contact, facial expressions, and voice has helped with his delivery. But I couldn't say the same for his gestures. The verbal aspects and facial expressions of his performance was on point. But looking at his body movements and hand gestures, I would say that he sort of lacked in that area. But I think that his verbal delivery has made up for his lack of gestures and movements. His voice showed and presented all of the emotions that should be relayed to the audience. His pauses and tone greatly contribute on the emphasis of his points and message. I think that if there were more body movements and gestures, it could have made the performance more commendable. Another thing that I would like to point out is that the poem was excellently spoken, audible, and interesting. His poem is a mirror of himself. It shows his vulnerability and emotional sides, as the poem sort of leans more to personal themes. It is interesting due to the fact that it somewhat contains a mystery. While observing the video, I can't help but wonder who the girl is. What did she do to make him hurt? But listening to the speech, you can't help but think that he has a lot to get out of his system, and with this you are more interested and curious on the content and the context of the speech. And of course, the message wouldn't be as clear if it wasn't audible. His great delivery has most certainly taken our attention, leading us to appreciate his literary work and give the credit that it deserves. My initial reaction in the poem is that the overall theme of the poem doesn't really resonate with me. But due to his excellent delivery, I feel like I can put myself in his shoes. The poem to me is very well written and is an excellent work. And I would like to add that we Filipinos are creative and imaginative. We have plenty of excellent writers, and that I think that we must strengthen the foundation of our literary fields in order to show support and help our local artists and writers gain the attention that they deserve. Both of the speakers in the two videos are excellent at their delivery. After watching the videos, I realized that I could learn from speakers like them. With what I have observed from them, I can take note on what I must do and what I shouldn't do in order for me to improve as a speaker. And that is all for my reaction video. Thank you and God bless.